Zdravko Podolsky is a flight instructor who trains people to fly in the Sierra Nevada. He uses a decathlon stunt plane identical to one used by Steve Fossett on his last flight.
As we go higher and higher, two things happen. One is the air gets thinner, which means that the propeller generates less thrust and the wings generate less lift, which means you need more speed to get the same lift. At the same time, the amount of oxygen also drops, and so the engine can't burn gasoline or petrol so effectively. So it's a triple whammy.
At last, with a known location for Fossett's plane, the rescue teams could sort through the massive information they'd gathered and link his flight to a radar trace Fallon Naval Air Station had recorded. It showed he'd headed away from the 395 highway and up into a narrow valley.
He would have come right up this valley, right up like that.
Once he got to this point, Steve Fossett would have found himself trapped in terrain that was rising to well over 10,000 feet. His plane gripped by a powerful downdraft of at least 400 feet a minute.
So you find that the air is pushing you backwards and you can't outclimb the terrain, and you find yourself trapped in a valley that's getting narrower and narrower and harder to climb, and you might find yourself that you can't turn around anymore and you can't climb, and then you're stuck.
Fossett's decathlon plane had a climb rate of only 300 feet a minute. He would have been unable to climb faster than the 400-foot downdraft he was trapped in. And with the hillside rushing up to meet him, there was only one option for him. Pilots call it CFIT, controlled flight into terrain, crashing.
One of the most obvious things we can see that's pretty unique is this big slab of granite here, and of course we know the plane was blue and white. All the scratches are scratched this way, so it's most likely the plane was hit this and then just was cracking up in pieces going up there. There's a fuel spill up in there where, as the plane broke apart, the fuel spilled, caught on fire, and caught all those trees on fire.
The plane had broken up and was scattered across the hillside. Finally, how Steve Fossett crashed was understood. And in telling the story of his death, more has been learned about the Nevada Triangle.
This was a guy that had a skill set, bar none, but it meant going around the world at altitude with a lot of support. He wasn't just a mountain pilot that was accustomed to going out there and dealing with the little squirrely winds that can just take you out. Unfortunate, but it happens all the time around here.
But one question still remained. Where was the body of Steve Fossett? Finally, on the 29th of October, after 4 weeks of combing the area, searchers found what they were looking for.
We did discover near the wreckage what appears to be bones.
2 fragments of bone were found half a mile away from the crash site. DNA analysis confirmed them as the remains of Steve Fossett. How had they ended up so far from the plane? One theory is that his body had been dragged away to be eaten by bears.
It would not be typical. Black bears are extremely lazy. He was deep in the forest. It would be no goal for them to move Mr. Fossett if they were going to take advantage of him as a food source.
Steve Searles, the local bear ranger who'd seen the wreckage, believes he knows what happened.
A great deal of evidence to suggest that he managed to get out of the plane before the fire and make his way to where his remains were found.
Fossett's bone fragments were found on a ridge above the crash site, close to where his ID and money were discovered. Had he crawled from the crash and made for the high ground to await a rescue that never came? We may never know. That's a secret the Nevada Triangle will probably keep to itself, like many hundreds of others before.